to 22, Jacob Morgan. For Weston, number 27, Sam Bidstrup. Number 28, Michael Foster. Number 24, Caleb Henderson. 21, Jackson Lundy. 35, Jamie Sivat. 1, Scott Carter. 7, Angus Layton. 33, Bo Wilkins. 34, Max Foster. 30, Jackson Burston. 38, Jack Jaffas. Reserves, 31, Jason Moore. 29, Liam Neverson. 20, Dave Sneddon. 23, Harry Gordon. And 26, James Vincent.
Don't let it go out! Weston! In front of the player! Good, better. Don't have to, we've got it. It's Lugo there. Oh, Zoe, if they try and play him, you step in front, Biddy covers. Good, finish, get off. Move it. Forward, better. Good. Love it. React. Ah, Endo, tackle. Endo, you tackle him. So you need to tuck in, Berto. They've only got the 9, so you can actually play the higher until hospital side, yeah? Good. Mick, you got to show them the distance. 50-50 mix, closer. Alpo, you've got the 9, trade one of them next year, so they can play a bit deeper, yeah? Vice versa, they can have the 9, you play deeper. Right? Get on the ball! So Berto, the only other thing is scream for it. Make sure we encourage it short. What's the numbers here? Good boy, Hendo. Good, so you stay tucked in, bro. Sit! Do that, drop. Get over to where the ball's going to be. Come on, no one's going to the side. Get over, Messi, get over. Hold it, Nick. Good boy, Bo. Love it. Yeah. Good boat. Good today. Good. Hendo, up! Lundy! That's you, back post! Good, boy. Okay, set.
And again.
Claudia, Jaded, you can put pressure on that through the ball. That's why we've got two on the top. Claudia.
No, it's so good.
Jaded, drop off. Claudia, get together with Jaded.
So, Billy, someone needs to try and get on the ball there. Everyone's hiding.
Good, Claudia.
Move the ball, Max. Better. Max, where can you get it? Good. And then you can push Endo on. So, Max, you've got to drift there to get it and you push Endo on. Hendo, if they push that midfielder higher, you're going to have to stay deeper. 50-50 Max. Good mix. So Max, you just go 50-50. Nick will cover that. Lundy, react! Gus, you can creep. You can creep. Billy can cover. Billy, in. Good. Play someone in. Good boy, love it. Good. Love it, Max. Good. Down now, let's go. You got it touch. Otherwise, this transition will hit
Rex. So challenge in the centre of the park. 3 headers in there today. Come on. That's the second for you. It's got to be you.
Let him sit. Endo, just drop it, Mitchell. Drop. Good. Endo, good, Hendo, 50-50. Good, so Bowie, tuck in. Hendo, that's where you need to drop in between. No. So Berno, you don't need to drop there, that's both. So Cannon. Come on up and then push Nick across. Monday! One someone's feet! Monday! Find someone's feet! And Max, when we build up, we need to take for you more. Your positioning is really good, but we're forcing it too high. So Nick, there we don't need a floater. Put it in. Roberto, if they break, you will need to track them for 7. And Bowie, 9's yours.
Oh, narrow first, Body. Narrow first. Drop back. Jaden, drop back. Body, talk to him. Go the other way. Too slow.
Go! Switch the play!
Look after it!
lines. another goal. What I expect, Berto.
Goal scored for Weston by number 30, Jackson Weston. They will score 1-0 for Weston.
Inside that play, vote. Good, and then you see ball and player. So Hendo, when the space is that big, you don't need to drop. Straight outside of you. Don't lose it, Berto. Take that midfield time. Max net. Good, better. You go through that. Better, good. Play net. Hendo, you gotta stay! Hendo! Good both. So Hendo, so hey, you've got to make sure you drop it early. Do that. Try and encourage it. Good, Hendo. Good in. Bowie, just remember, press your first pass. Once you get to Adam's feet, you can take it.
Get it, Bowie. Bait, Minnie. Minnie, go to the ball. Touch forward, Bowie. Early.
Get on the ball, Hendo. Ball, Max. Touch, better. Touch here, Hendo. Get it. Get up, lads, come on. Max, hold it. Now back in, don't good, So Hendo, drop! Hendo! Drop! Oh, Hendo. Fucking drop so you can tackle him. Hendo! You're dropping so you can tackle him, not watch him. Right, sit. Leave it. Good, just in here, Hendo. What? Good, Billy. Come on, Mick. Keep going, Nick. So, Berto, just remember 7 goes, that's you. Good, set! Don't dive in, backwards is good. Step up! Quick! Step up! So, Suba, there we need you deeper. There we need you deeper. So they can't switch there, they've got to go that way. Cut! Cut. Move it. Good boy. Hendo, over, quick! Hendo, end! So Hendo, they stop the penetrating pass, you've got to stop the ball in the feet. Yeah, because if you're too far that way, you allow it in. And then you've got to make sure Max comes across with you. Cross. Hendo position. Go in there. Hendo. Drop. Hit in midfield. Let's go. Leave it, Jaden. Hendo, no. If they're playing wrong, you keep up.
Coming out, right shoulder.
So Max, you're still too deep. Hand part, Ed! Good, sit. Max, you screen in front of the front plate. Good. Otherwise they come back. So that's what you're trying to get rid of.
Goal scored for Lambton by number 7, Dylan Wozanovsky, making the score 1-4.
Hendo, there you're in Max's space. Keep the ball, use it. Good, Matt. And don't think about it. Nick, now we're getting tight. We're pressing one at a time. Take control, press together.
$1 a piece. But everyone knows, got plenty of hot food, canteen, beautiful chicken burgers. The barbecue tent's going off. The boys there will provide sausage sandwiches, steak sandwiches, and you can get your beers and soft drinks there as well.
Max, Hendo, Vic, when we don't have it, make sure the midfield's contact. If they want to play through, they got to go around. Good, Nick. Chris. Longe, whatever you're going to do, it's going to be quicker. No, Camper, you got to be in. This boat's gone. Come on. Erdo, that was you. Andy, you're worrying about
Stop some more, yeah? You go forward.
midfield. Go Hendo.
Get it, Rhino. Yes.
Hey, you're probably going to get some game time, so make sure you're...
Start! He's doing 2 jobs, come on!
Good job. Play on, come on. on, Jack. Go! Drop! Can you get a Hendo? You're hiding.
I've got two now.
G'day! Too much! Maxie! Fuck man, it's the same thing again and again. Matt, you're still too deep too often, get in between. Get on it! Hey, Matt! Good!
And again!
Endo, where can you get it? Nick, try and get us to play feet. he can creep. Matt, it's busy. Switch it.
Good! We're second everywhere! Boys, come on, we're second everywhere. Let's go!
Monday, set. Lundy, in. Come on.
Get out! Two deep out though!
Move it, move it, move it.
Hey.
Better. See if you can play Maxi there though. Play feet. Better. Good. Where's the numbers? Endo, you're gonna hit it? Hit it.
He winds me up and I'm just coat.
Come on, Jack, get up!
Good stuff, good. 1 feet, Lundy, son. Lucky there. Good, Maxi! First touch, boys, come on. 1 feet. He's playing.
Who's fit to play funny?
One up, come on.
That's good enough ball to get ready to go on.
Feet. Where can you get it, Lundy, son? Never make sure you're ready.
Rhino.
Lundy, you've got to pressure first touch there, man. Where can you get it, Hendo?
Hey, not Maradona.
Bo, get back!
Get up with him. Look how fun we are. Come on.
Get him up, shorten the spaces, come on.
Set! Lundy, drop, end! Lundy, compete! Good boy, Lundy. Always compete, always put pressure on.
So, what's the easiest thing for having all, like, 4 of us up here?
Well,
Oh,
there's only going to be 3.
there's only...
Isn't here today.
Okay.
It's going to make it a lot easier.
Yeah, that. Well, I think two of you can fit up here.
It'll
Yeah.
be fine. It'll be fine.
Too easy then.
Go wide. React!
Come on, Benji!
Good. Matt!
Do something more!
Would love to. Nick, you gotta be the wall. Endo, switch the point. You can send the ambush there, Nivo. Get up, get up, get up, get up. Just warm up.
Struggling up. Teams struggling up to get games on. I'm trying to find a play rather, but
The only thing I have to go off is the Hamilton. That makes me nervous.
Players on. There. Good of your boss can go. We've got one at the top. Get bodies over there.
Good job. Nick's going. Hey, off. Next down.
Come on.
Win that line, win! Come on, Lundy!
Good, one on the 9, one drop off. As I said, if we lose, we're struggling. Good. No more centrally, but central, come on.
Yeah, go! Hendo, you're too deep. Mick, drop. Don't forget him, he's the dangerous one. Suba, not long left, try and set the ambush and go. If the ball spills, Jack, you get in front. Anything behind, Gus covers. So you got to shift now, Gus.
Yes.
Goody. Jack, if they push an extra player forward, just make sure you've got the players to cover. Yes, thank you.
Go, Jack, help! Get across! Help, mate, get across!
Right, Jack. Good. Try it. Try and find feet. Try and find feet, Gus. Hit with the ball. Body shape.
Goody. Stay at the top, mate. Don't come back.
Nivo! Get him set! Nick, get him set! Come on, Jaffas! Jack behind you!
Come on, get a follow. Follow it. Come on, Kyle. Buzzer, get in the box. Let's go, follow it in. Follow it in. Jacko, push. Buzzer, go forward.
Goal scored right at the end there by number 12, Brock Beveridge, making the score 2 goals to 1 in Jaffas' favour. Well done, boys.
Good afternoon and welcome to Arthur Eden Oval on Good Friday for round 7 of the NPL Northern New South Wales. As second host third, it's Lambton Jaffas taking on Weston Bears. And for 5 rounds this season, Weston have continued to prove the doubters wrong. And after a first round defeat to Hamilton Olympic, the Bears have roared up the ladder to sit in 3rd place. However, this afternoon will prove to be the toughest test of their medal against perennial challengers, the Lambton Jaffas. And while Lambton have had a relatively soft start to the campaign, it's been how they've recorded the wins which has been so impressive. They've scored 14 goals in 4 matches. Their attack is firing, and they've conceded just 3 goals at the other end of the pitch, which is something to be proud of. But like Weston this afternoon, it's Lambton's chance to show their true colours and stamp their authority in the premiership race. A fascinating Friday afternoon of football is no doubt in store to the lineups, and Lambton coach James Pascoe has named an unchanged lineup from the team who thumped Valentine 4-0 last weekend. No surprises there. That includes Braden Crowley, who scored a hat-trick. And for Weston, coach Q Yallins has made 2 changes from his side, who got the 3 points against the Jets Youth in an entertaining match. They won that 3-2. Jackson Burston and Victorian Sam Camper drop back to the bench, and they're replaced by Cooper Buswell and youngster Jet White. Zach Snedden plays his 50th match for the Bears. It's a mild day in Newcastle on Good Friday. The temperature currently sitting around 23 degrees, although there is a chilly wind blowing at about 20 kilometres an hour from the south. Our referee for this afternoon is Mark Carter. Just shaking hands with both coaches as he does before each and every match. Great to see. And it will be the Bears in their light blue away kit. It's not the Charlestown City Blues, it is Western Bears, their away kit. And Lambton Jaffas in their traditional yellow with the brown sleeves and pants. So round 7 of the NPL Northern New South Wales. The 3rd match this on Good Friday. There's Mark Carter with the whistle to his mouth, and we are underway at Arthur Eden Oval, 2nd versus 3rd. A crucial match in the NPL Northern New South Wales, and not many would have expected to be Western in 3rd place by round 7. So, Chris Turner, the question is, can they keep the momentum flowing?
Well, it's a good question, and good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Bart. It is a good question, and they're up against a Lambton side that is absolutely buzzing at the moment. And this group, they're certainly sharp, they're firing, and they don't have the same injury woes as we've heard Coach Pascoe talking about through the week. So this group, headed by a number of people, one of them on the ball, Brad Swancott, full of confidence and ready to go.
And defensively, Brad Swancott will be very pleased with the start to their season. Just 3 goals conceded in 4 matches. He launches this one long, searching for Tom Waller. He's been impressive in front of goal as Waller. Robbie Turnbull back at his former club now with the Bears after spending some time at Adamstown Rosebud. And here's Liam Wilson. The young striker back to Turnbull. Tries to change up the attack and bring Jordan Jackson into play down the left. As Powiak chips into the path of Hamill. Couldn't keep it inside the line.
Brent Hamill he'd be disappointed with that. He just wants to get off his side off to a good start. And he certainly won't be excited by that one.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's had some issues with injury, Brent Hamill, last year and coming into this year. So good to see him back out there for the Jaffas, the former Eagle himself.
Well, he's a quality player, Bren, and very experienced as well, so he'll shake that one off quickly. Kandarovski's looking for the ball, and we're expecting a big game from him this afternoon, Bart.
Yeah, I was talking to the Jaffas coaching staff, and they've been very impressed, obviously, with Michael Kandarovski, but they've said Andrew Powiak has been outstanding. Former Jets youth player, spent some time on the bench for the A-League side. Hasn't played an A-League match, but so impressive, and he spent some time in the Philippines last year before returning home to Australia and played in the Victorian NPL, and now he's back in Newcastle with the Jaffas. And with the new A-League sides coming in, if he can have a strong season, he could put himself right in the frame as we see Jason Tien Phu, the Dutchman, winning a free kick.
One of the things is, you know, if he is comfortable in Newcastle and he's settled in and apparently he's got a job and he's settling down well, then that's all making good news for the Jaffas, because if he's comfortable in his outer football life, then on the park, good news for them.
Here's Caleb Cox bending it. Brad Swancott will gobble that one up quite easily. I'll tell you what, Brad Swancott is one man who has had more send-offs than Johnny Farnham. I thought he was going to retire 2 years ago, then last year, and now he's back around for another year, CT. He's 39 years of age. The question is, can he go into his 40s like we see Daniel McBreen going at Edgeworth Eagles? Surely Swanee can do that, can't he?
Well, first of all, leave the jokes to me. And the second thing is, Bart, you did ask me his age this morning, and I took a guess at it, and I said 44. So can he go there? Yeah, he'd be headed towards his 50s, in my opinion, if he does. But, you know, look, all jokes aside, he can. And goalkeeping is one of those positions where if you stay reasonably fit, as he does, and he looks after himself, then he could well find himself playing for a bit longer. But I'm sure the Jaffas would love to have him because he's of high quality.
The ball turned over. Can Wilson profit? Dishes the ball wide and ball across the face, looking for Tien Phu from Liam Wilson. Cut out by the Jaffas defence. Second place on the table coming into this one, Lambton. No losses, 3 wins and a draw. And here at home, they've been in goal-scoring form. 9 goals in their 2 matches at Arthur Eden Oval so far in the 2019 campaign. As Turnbull hangs it up and Tien Phu goes to the acrobatic attempt on goal. He's been such a star for Weston this season. 2 goals and some crackers at that. As Odell slides the throw up the ground, searching for Braden Crowley. He's another man who, since coming back to Lambton, has been in goal-scoring form. 14 goals in 19 matches for the Jaffas in his probably almost a year with the club. After returning back home from Victoria, it's Crowley. Takes on Caleb Cox, bends it across goal. Luke Remington was looking to nick in there at the near post. It's going to just be the goal kick. They seem to be appealing for the corner. Tell you what, CT, that was tough to pick who it came out off last because there were so many bodies. It was a mosh pit in there.
Sure was. But I was just talking to someone before the game, and he said, who's the player to watch? And Crowley was that man that came instantly to mind for me, because he is a sensation. If he gets half a chance, he's lethal.
Well, Scott McCarter is the under-18s Jaffas coach, part of the first grade coaching team as well, and he was saying that Braden Crowley, he feels he's best suited now to playing in the A-League than he was in his younger days, which is just great news. And as I said, those new A-League clubs, if he's scoring goals aplenty for the Jaffas, they could be keeping a close eye on that. He has spent some time with the Jets and Melbourne City, played a few A-League matches. He's got that experience under his belt. And I just wanted to give you the scores on the other matches this afternoon. Maitland, incredible. They were down 1-0 at half-time. They've come back to win 2-1 against Edgeworth at Cook Square Park. And Lake Macquarie 2-1 against Adamstown. So maybe a couple of upsets, you'd say, there, as Michael Kandarovski rolls it into the path of Brent Hamill, who is looking for his first goal with the Jaffas. He won't score, but Luke Remington will. His second goal of the campaign. He didn't score at all last year, and now he's got 2 goals in the first 5 matches this season for the Jaffas.
Strong build up there from Lambton. Brendan Hamill doing all the things that were right. Committed the keeper, spilt it back out. And there was Remington to finish that off, and did so well with his left foot to make no mistake. Absolute tap in, and if he could have anything easier than that, I'm not sure what it is, and he'll lap every moment of that for a 1-0 so far in this match. But
yeah, CT, you'll remember last year Brendan Hamill hit a strike, as we see Tien Phu. Look at that first touch, brings it down. He is just offside. Brent Hamill had that strike in the second leg of the semi-final against Edgeworth, which deflected off an Eagles defender into the back of the net. Many would have thought that was his first goal for the Jaffas. It wasn't. It was actually given as an own goal. So he's still searching for his first. He almost had it there then, but Tristan Esquilin in goals for Weston made the save, and Luke Remington tidied up. 2 goals already this season. A lean year last campaign, but back in the goals in 2019. And Weston with some work to do, because Lambton, so far this season, when they've scored first, they are 3 from 3. As Tom Waller cuts it back across the face, nodded away by Chris Hurley. And now Turnbull is looking for Cooper Buswell. Powiak cuts it out, and Will McFarlane, the new recruit from Queensland, who has impressed the Jaffas staff as well. The centre-back was playing with Western Pride last season in the NPL Queensland.
The other one that I'm interested to see how he plays out is Tien Phu. Got Crowley on one end out on the ball at the moment, and Tien Phu at the other. And but he looks early in this game. I haven't seen him play live, but he certainly looks very sharp at a glance from the sidelines.
There's Kanarowski feeding in Brent Hamill. He's looking for Andrew Powiak, and instead he's picked out the Bears, and this ball chipped up and over the top by Lundy, well beyond the reaches of Jason Tien Phu. And Craig Carey from the Newcastle Herald, good friend of Bar TV as well, CT, he wrote a piece on Jason's career thus far, and he's not looking for a spot in the A-League. He just wanted to travel overseas and play football, and he actually contacted Q Yallians via a relative. It's a fascinating story. He read about Q's time in Australia and contacted him via a relative and said, can I come over and play? Showed him his CV, and now he's here in Australia.
And I'm sure Hugh is saying thank you very much, because he certainly looks good, and he's came in earlier in the season, he scored an absolute wonder strike from the left-hand side of the park, and strike to remember.
Yeah, what a goal that was. That was against Maitland in round 3. As Lundy onto the left boot, trying to pick out that back left corner. Brad Swan got to wait to the danger though, and quickly releases Brent Hamill. And he bursts him down the right. He can't. Cooper Buswell was across. Spent some time in defence last year, did Cooper Buswell. Up front today for the Bears. Back into the starting side. One of 2 changes. Braden Crowley swerving past a couple. Had the run of Remington and also Nathan Verity, who powers this one towards goal. Just a little too close to Esquilin, former Jets youth goalkeeper with Weston this year. And while they have been good in attack, the Bears, 3rd best attack in the comp, or 3rd most goals coming into this match. Defensively, they've been a little bit leaky. They've conceded 8 goals. Just over 1 per match. And again here they've conceded early, so that's probably their one concern thus far, but they've got the results so far. It's Tom Waller tried to angle the pass in front of Zach Snedden, who's playing his 50th for the Bears this afternoon. Couldn't do so. There's Wilson, that's a neat 1-2, played with Tien Phu. He had the overlapping run of Regan Lundy.
Like the start of Verity at this point in the game, he's got himself involved, and he's so vital in defence.
Remington taking on Turnbull, and well cut out by Zach Snedden, who scored just the 1 goal in the top grade. That was back in, do you remember what year, CT? When Zach Snedden last scored. It would have been in his first year of first grade, and it was 2013.
Well, I can't remember that, and I can't remember his father, Stephen Snedden, who I played with at West Wallsend, scoring ever, so he's probably one in front of him.
There's Tom Waller with the left boot. Well, Kanarowski was unmarked, but it was a little too deep for him. Does well to track it inside the sideline. Brent Hamill eases past Hurley, and that is a superb save from Esquilin, because Tom Waller's header was destined for the bottom corner. And for all money, I thought it was going to be 2-0.
Yeah, terrific save. Great ball in from Hamill. And this is a start that Lambton Jaffas have needed. They've really come out against a side that expecting to do well this afternoon and have got the early dominance.
And just look at the height difference in the box. You can really see that. Hamill, Sessions, all in there. Zach Sneddon gets his head to it. Powiak angles the pass, and he can thump a ball. Brent Hamill couldn't keep it down there.
Just looking to get some dip on that one, just on the slightly on the outside of the boot. Cutting through it, just to make it drop.
Just on the live ladder, CT, with Lambton leading 1-0. They are in first place on the ladder, and that is still with 2 matches in hand on Edgeworth Eagles, who lost this afternoon to Maitland. So if Lambton can get the 3 points this afternoon, they are in a great position at this early point in the season to give themselves a play at the premiership and end the Eagles' dominance. We know there's a long way to go, though. Braden Crowley tries to take on a former Eagle, Jet White. Free kick is going to go the Bears' way. And Lake Macquarie, despite their win over Adamstown, they stay in last place, but they really needed that. Defensively, they're a little tighter this afternoon. 2-1 win on Good Friday. 3 matches today, a couple tomorrow, including an important one for Broadmeadow Magic and Valentine at Magic Park. Jordan Jackson. And now Hurley scored from a corner last week, direct from a corner. Bounces in front of Lundy. Nice swivel and turn away from Verity, who returned. Falls back for Lundy, and he fires on goal. Swancott with the save. And it fell for Liam Wilson, and then the strike from Buswell. Great scrambling from the Lambton. But in the end, it's found its way through the wall of bodies. And it's Regan Lundy who scores his 3rd goal of 2019 to lock it all up. Super scrambling there, CT, wasn't it?
It was like a pinball machine in there. There was people, bodies everywhere going, shots galore. Swancott scrambling, put himself absolutely all over the place. And in the end, an open net. Look, that's just exactly what Weston need right now, because the game for me was headed towards a pretty dominant Lambton side, and even still, this Western side will take a huge amount of confidence out of that.
Especially considering Lambton coming into this one had the best defence in the league. Just 3 goals conceded in their 4 matches played so far. Western have found a way to breach it. They've been so strong in attack this year. That's their 12th in 6 matches. And if you're averaging 2 goals a game, you're going to win a lot of them. Provided you can defend, that is.
Well, that's a great response from Weston. It's exactly what they needed to get themselves back in this game. Lambton have dominated possession early in the game.
The Bears coming into this one hadn't beaten Lambton since 2015 and hadn't won at Arthur Eden Oval since 2014, the year before. It's Liam Wilson. Geez, elusive. Dinks it over the top towards Tien Phu. And Swancott almost went base over apex. That was spectacular, CT.
Well,
Thought it was the pole vault.
We just heard from someone down in the crowd, the swan dive, and wow, it sure was. He went, launched himself up in the air, and like a swan, landed.
Well, here he is under a bit of pressure here. Put under some real pressure by Verity, and now Michael Sessions in a tight spot. Really entertaining match thus far, CT. So open. Both sides going after it. And here's Braden Crowley with an opportunity to make it 2-1. And he does just that. What a season he is having. A half dozen of goals already. And it's only round 7.
Look, we mentioned Crowley earlier, and he does know where the bag is, but he certainly made that one a lot easier than what it should have been, and it made it look a lot easier than what it was, just picking up the ball, turning back to his left-hand side, creating that little bit of space so he can swing a leg, ended up throwing the keeper the wrong way, an open net, and as a striker, that is absolutely top shelf.
Well, I was going to reference Weston's match here in 2015 where they led 3-0 at half-time and Lambton pulled them back and won 4-3. And that was probably the match which was the beginning of the end for Weston. They went on a real slide after that and missed the finals after being in the top 4 for much of the season. That was a high-scoring contest. You sense we could get a similar scoreline this afternoon, CT, based on 2-1 inside the opening 20 minutes. What a cracking contest as Chris Hurley couldn't quite dink the ball up over Michael Sessions as Bren Hamill goes in there on Chris Hurley. What's he doing there as he goes into the book, CT?
Yeah, look, Bren Hamill there went in. He went in the wrong way. Look, it's not in his nature to go in like that, but it was just that circumstance. I don't think he meant to hurt anyone, but for a tackle like that, you've got to go into the book. That's just the way that one goes. He needs to cop that in the chin, go back and concentrate on the rest of this match, and no more silly fouls from him. That's just what the game means to him, Bart. And the Lambton Jaffas side, who are sitting, as you say, on the top of the table. This ball here, he'll be wanting to swing straight in just beyond that back line there.
There's Caleb Cox, flicked on by Hurley, and it falls for Liam Wilson. And Mark Carter has seen an infringement in the box, so Lambton with the free kick.
A sigh of relief there for Lambton Jaffas because all of a sudden they're under a bit of pressure despite another response from them to go 2-1 up. But you mentioned it was end-to-end football. It really is, and these are the games we love to watch because they are open and both teams showing willingness to attack.
There's Hamill with a flick on towards Crowley and now brought down by Tom Waller. And now Bren Hamill. Mark Carter playing advantage. Hamill across goal. Robbie Turnbull with the clearance away. Regan Lundy felled by Michael Kantorowski. What a start to this one. Good Friday football. The final match on Good Friday in the NPL Northern New South Wales. After Edgeworth went down to Maitland 2-1 this afternoon. What a result for the Magpies at home. And also Lake Macquarie got their first win of the year against Adamstown. As Tien Phu away from Odell, who returned, and McFarlane winning possession back for the Jaffas. This time it's Hamill who goes clattering to the ground. And as he lashed out at Jordan Jackson off the ball. Well, he's going to be off here, Bren Hamill. All he needs to receive is a yellow card. Oh, I did not see that, CT, did you?
Yeah, I sure did. Look, here's how this one goes. Hamill was fouled, and it was a bad foul. And Jackson was the man that made that foul. He knew it was a foul, and he's retaliated. He shouldn't have done it. Straight yellow card for Jackson. Hamill needs to be very careful because he may get a red card here.
Well, he's gone here.
And yeah, I feel for Bren here because this could be a game changer. However, you just can't retaliate.
It's a brain explosion from Bren Hamill. That's all you can say. I'm just having a look here back on the replay at what.
Look, I saw it clearly, Bart. What happens here is.
Yep, no doubt. Yep, that's the second yellow for sure.
It is clear, but also Jackson needs to go in the book. I looked away. And any young players watching this coverage this afternoon, there's a very good lesson in that. Do not retaliate. If you retaliate, that can happen. And for a side that's on top of the competition, it's a tough one for Bren because I would say, but there wouldn't be many players that would be able to contain themselves. But if you're in that place of mould, where you're learning your trade, hold out.
Caleb Cox taking them on. And now Chris Hurley powers it across goal. He almost picked out the corner there with a cross shot. And for a man of his experience, he knew immediately, didn't he? He stood there, he knew his fate, and he's thinking to himself, why did I do that?
It was a snap decision. He was fouled. He was fouled pretty blatantly, and he's reacted. It's just a snap decision. It just happened. No excuse for it. However, he'll be kicking himself in there probably as well as everything else he kicked on the way through.
Well, I thought the changing room was about to explode based on the sound that came out of it. Brad Swancott.
So that changes.
Underway. Well,
it changes the dynamic. They've been playing a 4-4-2, the Jaffas. We'll just get a snapshot of their
Hurley looking for Wilson, and it's going to trickle wide of the post.
Just get a look at their shape when they re-go. Most teams would go to a 4-4-1 in this scenario. The logical choice would be for Crowley. I'm expecting Jimmy.
You're just listening in, aren't you? You're just trying to figure out what Jimmy Pascoe's saying to his side.
The logical thing would be to leave Crowley or Remington up solo up front and drop someone into the middle of the park. That man may be Crowley.
Is Hurley bending in another corner? That was almost identical to the one he scored last week against the Jets, because Swancott was a little at sea there. If that one bent around.
Well, he committed early, Swancott, and certainly went beyond him, the ball. That's not something you'd normally see from him.
Here he is, Hurley again. This one a little deeper. Cut out by Odell. And now Tien Phu. Rolling this one into the box. And Chris Hurley, he won the Bar TV Sports Goal of the Year last year for his wonderful strike against Maitland. And he actually said earlier this season that he'd be lying if he said he hadn't watched it back a few times. Well, I would be thinking he would have watched back that goal last week, scored direct from a corner during the week as well. He would have got it up on YouTube, had it on repeat.
Quite possibly, Bart.
Zach Snedden, thought he was going to shape to shoot there for a minute. Here's Lundy, thinking it towards Tien Phu. And now Jackson.
The dynamics of this game have changed. Now Weston holding possession and the dominance of it, shifting the ball around.
Well, Jordan Jackson, I don't think I've seen anything like that in my life, and unfortunately we're not going to get it on screen. I'll have to explain what happened as Chris Hurley rolls this towards the sideline. He was about a metre in from the sideline and he just fell over and did a forward roll. I've never seen anything like it, and I wish we had it on camera.
Some people call it hit by a phantom.
No, that was...
Shot by a sniper, whatever it was.
That was everything. A phantom and the sniper got him all in one. What was going on? He just did a forward roll, an acrobatic against the sideline.
He might be celebrating that he didn't get sent off as well, to be honest.
Oh, jeepers creepers. Braden Crowley looking for Luke Remington. Kantarovski, well shut down by Tien Phu. And that's a scuffy clearance from Sessions. Lambton skipper. They might be up by 2-1, Lambton. They are down to 10 men, though, with Brent Hamill sent for an early shower. And that was after he received the yellow card a couple of minutes before he lashed out at Jordan Jackson. After he was fouled by Jordan Jackson and then lashed out and got himself sent off. It's Chris Hurley, well brought down from the chest, bending it, just in behind, and it falls for Regan Lundy. Liam Wilson couldn't quite get his laces around it. Now he is able to cut it back. Tien Phu on the volley. That would have been another one for the highlights reel.
Well, as I said before, the dynamics of this game have changed, and Tien Phu there, that would have been certainly another highlight goal of the year if that one had gone in. Volley, great technique, just over the top of the bar. Unfortunately for him, still Lambton 2, Weston 1.
Robbie Turnbull, strong in the air. Both of these two sides on a 4-match unbeaten run so far this season. Weston lost in round 1 to Hamilton. Haven't lost since. 3 wins and a draw. Similar story for Lambton. They started the season in fine form. They've only played the 4 matches. 3 wins and a draw from their opening 4. Kantarovski tried to angle the pass to Crowley. Now Caleb Cox for the Bears. Former Jets youth player. There's a few former Jets youth players out there, and also Mariners as well. Chris Hurley, one of them. Crowley towards Remington. As Hurley tracks it down, was with the Mariners from 2014 to 2016, playing in the NPL 2 down in Sydney. Zach Snedden rolls it into the path of Hurley. I want to ask you, CT, just in regards to the game time these young boys have got in the last 2 years under Steve Piggott, you feel that's really helping them this year, that experience. I know it's been a tough couple of years, but they're blossoming this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you're 17 playing first grade football versus 19, 20, and you've got a couple of years under your belt, you certainly can gain a lot of confidence, and not only that, you're getting more strength about your game as well. So technically, you'll be possibly similar, but physically you're stronger, and mentally you're more prepared because you understand what it's about. And when you're playing against men, you mentioned Brad Swancott at 46 there or whatever he is, there are experienced players out in the park, and as a younger player, sometimes you can get overawed by that. But to answer your question, Bart, I think that when you do get a couple of years into the level, it certainly does help physically when you're capable, and mentally because you know how it's done.
And with those younger players, they've sprinkled in some real quality this year with Zach Snedden coming back, Jason Tienfu, also Liam Wilson there, and Robbie Turnbull, some experience. And Nathan Morris, he's out injured, but he is another man that these young boys look up to.
Yeah, and they're the sorts of players that maybe last year they would have said we would love to have them because that could be the difference in our season. So for Weston at the moment, the start has been a great one, and they'll be looking to continue on. Certainly got the advantage at the moment numerically, but they behind on goals just now.
Crowley. We saw the run of Tom Waller and also Michael Sessions. Couldn't angle the header inside the near post. And Esquilin, a little bemused there with his defence. There's Caleb Cox. And talking of the young players in this Western side, Chris Hurley says Nathan Morris is the man he looks up to in the side. Although he said he didn't want to make too much of a big deal about it because he didn't want Nathan Morris to get a big head.
Well, Nathan Morris is not the guy that's going to get a big head. His father, perhaps, yes, but Trevor, so I'm referring to. No, he's a great role model, and he's, for a young player, he's certainly a good one to look up to because he's been around, understands the game, and he's very experienced, of high quality as well.
Coming into this season, the Bears hadn't made the finals since 2014. The start to the season gives them hope, but there's a long way to go. Here's a free kick, the way of Lambton. Michael Kantorowski. Played back in the A-League in 2015 for Newcastle. This one dinked forward towards Tom Waller. Just caught offside. And the match just entering a little bit of a lull after such an enthralling opening, end-to-end football. Round 7 of the NPL Northern New South Wales on Good Friday. The third and final match on this public holiday. Hope you're enjoying the action wherever you're watching around the country or the world. That's the beauty of Bar TV. It's Jet White. Chris Hurley dropping a little deeper. Couldn't quite pick the pass between the lines to Cooper Buswell. Now Braden Crowley with an opportunity here to break, and that's where Lambton, you sense, are going to do the damage. They've got speed to burn as well as Luke Remington. Shoulder to shoulder with Zach Snedden, who's done very, very well there, and then he slipped over. Well, there's a commentator's curse. A young man who's bringing up 50 matches for Weston. Was with Valentine last season and also spent some time in the US with Santa Barbara College. So Crowley has a couple of options short, and he uses Andrew Powiak, who curls it towards the back post, and it falls for Kantorowski. Couldn't quite get it on the sweet spot of that right boot. Here's Jet White. Made the move to Weston last year from Edgeworth after previously being with Adamstown. It's Lundy. Robbie Turnbull. Now Caleb Cox. White. Weston content just to hang on to possession with their back line at the moment. Not quite as forceful as they were earlier in the match.
We've just seen Lambton change from 4-4-1, maintaining the shape but swapping with Remington and Crowley.
That was a terrific ball from Caleb Cox, and then Cooper Buswell looking for the nutmeg on Will McFarlane. He's too good a defender to try that on. And it broke down and now allows Braden Crowley and Snedden again. He's able to snuff out the danger.
Great tackle there from Snedden. It was really one that he had to make because Crowley's, if he gets around him, he's not going to miss.
Well, that's a couple of important interventions from Zach Snedden on Braden Crowley and also Luke Remington. Minutes ago. It's Cox. Here is Snedden. Having a bit of a breather on the flank for the moment. Now Jet White to Turnbull. Here's Chris Hurley. And to Jordan Jackson. If you have just joined us, Lambton down to 10 men. Brent Hamill sent off. Early in the match, he received a yellow. And then a couple of minutes later, received his marching orders after he lashed out at Jordan Jackson after he was fouled by the Western defender. And here is Jordan Jackson. Against the sideline. Hanging it up and straight to Brad Swancott.
Now, Bart, I've just tried to get Nathan Morris up into the box here with us. He's just declined. I've threatened to get his father up here, Trevor. However, if we get Trevor in here, we probably won't get rid of him. So we'll go from one end to the other with the Morrises. And that ends up with a duck egg for Bar TV as far as the Morris clan is concerned. One decline and one decline from our end.
Here's a turn from Lamb Wilson. Such sharp footwork. Regan Lundy taking on Odell. He is backtracking. And Tien Fu, it almost fell for Buswell. If it wasn't for the deflection, maybe off Swancott, took it away from the Western striker.
Well, he sure did. He got some hands on that Swancott and made the save and pushed it out of the way. I'm sure he didn't know what was behind him, but he certainly did what he had to do in the first instance.
Now, CT, are we able to stitch up Smudge? Is that all right? Is that allowed?
Well, absolutely, we can stitch up Smudge. We did have my daughter Sophie here with us a minute ago. Smudge wasn't able to make it today, so we thought we'd get someone that did know what she was talking about. But she thought she may have been interviewed as well, and so she's bailed out also, Bart.
They're all scared of the microphone. This one rolls across the sideline. Yeah, so Smudge is... he'll probably be off for another couple of weeks. He's on leave for a bit. So I will tell you a Good Friday story involving Smudge that he told me earlier today. As Tom Waller from distance a drive, Esquilant scooped it up. It's a little different, but did the job in the end. And I can tell you, a few years back when he was coaching Broadmeadow Magic, he was out at West Walls End, and he went and had a steak sandwich. And he ate it and thought it was the best steak sandwich he'd ever had. Then no one saw him eating it at that point. And then he decided he'd go back before the game and have another steak sandwich because it was so good. And Rob Virgili, who was either his co-coach or assistant coach at that time, said to him, "It's Good Friday. What are you eating a steak sandwich for?" Hurley chips it forward towards Tien Fu. Brad Swan got no hands in there. Western players appealing for it. I thought it just came up off the chest.
It looked okay to me. No issue there.
Jackson, I will come back to the story as we see the free kick. Yes, so Rob Virgili said to him, "Why are you having a steak sandwich? It's Good Friday." And Smudge went, "Oh no." Totally forgot because he was so focused on the match against West Falls End. And he said he felt sick in the guts for the rest of the day.
Well, so he should do on Good Friday, Smudge. It's just typical of the character of Smudge.
Hurley.
much as we love him.
Exactly. Couple
Love
of
to give it
bounces and over the line.
To him.
We've already said the reason why he hasn't been here for much of the early part of the season is because he's just trying to make people a little disappointed that he hasn't been there. The old saying, absence makes the heart grow fonder. Isn't that right?
That's what he's after, isn't it? I'm sure
He's after everyone saying, come back, Smudge, come back. Kantorowski attempted the flick on, and Chris Hurley. Here's Regan Lundy. Both he and Liam Wilson so sharp alongside each other here on the left, but normally playing on opposite sides as we see Wilson jog over to that far side of the ground. Jet White. Now Cox. He can pick a pass. Caleb Cox. What a ball. Onto the boot of Regan Lundy, which was brought down expertly well. And that ball straight to Michael Sessions. Jordan Jackson, he's gone down again. Hurley, curling it across goal. Here's Wilson, his first touch into the path of Tom Waller. He spent more time on the ground in this first half, Jordan Jackson, than he has standing up. Luke Remington.
Yep.
Again, Zach Snedden using his body well. That is a terrific challenge. Hurley. Up the line, and Odell got there to clean up for Lambton, but still problems brewing at the back for the Jaffas. Buswell with a header, and Swancott was coming at him. What a ball, though, from Wilson. Gee, they're not far away, the Bears.
No, they're not. And Buswell there, Buzzy just nearly, if he just angled it, maybe the top right-hand corner could have stretched Swancott out. Kantorowski now on the ball, and he's a man that Lambton are going to be looking for to bring some stability into the game for them and hold possession. You see him on the ball again.
One thing that will assist Lambton being down to 10 men with Brent Hamill sent off is the fact that it is a smaller pitch, Arthur Eden Oval, so not as much running. In comparison, if they were playing at Macquarie Field, it would be a different story. It's Nathan Verity pushing forward and rolling this one in front of Tom Waller. He pushes across towards the back post, and just not enough numbers forward in the end for Lambton. Hurley. He'd like to have his time over, and we'll get that opportunity. Buswell drops into the midfield. Cox has the overlapping run of Robbie Turnbull getting forward. He tried to power that ball into the box, and rejected by Michael Sessions. Jet White surveys his options and curls a decent ball, which Swancott just was able to reel in. Secured his first clean sheet of the season last week, did Swancott and the Jaffas backline with that 4-0 win over Valentine. Weston with a 3-2 win against the Jets Youth, an entertaining match at Rockwell Automation Park. It's Tom Waller. Just inside the sideline. Bent it in, instead and cut it out. Now Turnbull to Cox. Then looking for an option. Decides to find Jordan Jackson. And now Chris Hurley. Takes his time to let it bounce in front of him, and now it's Liam Odell doing a wonderful job at the back. And that man is likewise for Weston. Zach Snedden.
Snedden is having a great game so far this afternoon. He's made a couple of tackles that have been crucial.
Here's Cox again, putting it on a dime. Trying to think of a pass that he has played which hasn't hit the man he's aiming for. Right on the toe. As here it falls for Regan Lundy, but it's popped up onto his arm.
Well, we've got a moment in play, Bart. did get the opportunity to watch the first half, Edgeworth and Maitland at Maitland, and watching that first half, the possession and the dominance held by Edgeworth mostly. Michael Boach won't like me saying that, but mostly looked like they were in control, and for them to come back, Maitland, Coach Bolt would be absolutely ecstatic. 2-1's a big result for them at home and would mean a huge amount to that team, the club.
Especially after the win against Charlestown last week, where they basically just ground them into the dust. It was just a roll-up-the-sleeves affair, and Maitland just ground out a 2-0 win. And then at home, for their first home match of the season, that will give them the world of confidence heading to Cook Square Park from now on. So important to start the season strongly at home and build that confidence and make it a fortress, and they're looking to do that now.
Well, interesting. It'll be great to see the tactics that have been employed by Michael Bolch, and I'm looking forward to watching that one, the second half, when I get home this evening, Bart, to see how they actually came about that victory, because it certainly wasn't trending that way at half-time.
Hurley, now to Tien Phu. Didn't have too much support around him, so he opted to play the 1-2 with Hurley, and Lambton have mopped it up through McFarlane. And here's Zach Snedden again, having to get on his bike and beat Luke Remington to the ball, and he's done that. Jackson to White now. As we head towards half-time in round 7 of the NPL Northern New South Wales. It's second versus third, Lambton Jaffas and Weston Bears. Jaffas opening the scoring through Luke Remington. Weston got themselves right back into the contest through Regan Lundy. And then Braden Crowley scored his 6th of the season to make it 2-1, and then Brent Hamill was sent off. So no goal since then, but Weston are probing. They've had the best chances since Lambton were reduced by a man. Here's the goal scorer, Lundy. The bright orange boots, whipping this ball across. Sessions nods it away. Feels for handball against Lambton. Mark Carter may be blindsided. Snedden. But I thought he's done a very good job in this first half, Mark Carter. It's been a free-flowing match of football. The red card had to be a red card.
El Carter's done a great job, hasn't he? He's sort of made the decisions he's had to make.
Remington got a little bit of a stud, and he's going to win the free kick. He does cop some treatment, does Luke Remington.
He does, and he's so industrious. He puts himself about and puts his body in positions, and he puts his body on the line a lot in the cause of victory for his team.
You can never challenge his desire.
Not a chance.
Jordan Jackson tracking this one down. Crowley is able to win the ball just inside the byline. Now he finds that man, Luke Remington. Lundy got a toe in, but wasn't able to prevent the ball wide. Just opens up here for a speedy winger. Came off the back of Jackson. Fell for White.
It's good to see our good friend Willow Greaves joining us on Bar TV. Bart, Willow is the father of Teo Greaves, plays in the Jets youth system, the under-23s competition.
Under-20s, as
Under-20s,
we go to
you correct me?
half-time. And a really entertaining first half. Probably the first half of the opening 45, the best bits, where 3 goals were scored. There was a red card. There was so much entertainment. And it was Lambton who were able to withstand the pressure from Weston after they were reduced to 10 men. And at half-time, it is Lambton Jaffas 2, Weston Bears 1. But there is so much more to come in this contest with 45 minutes left, with Lambton down to 10 men, CT. And Weston will be licking their lips because they'll feel this is a really, really crucial 45 in the context of their season. If they can get 3 points here and lock down a spot in the top 2, that's going to set up their season.
Set them up at Wood, and that half was a half of 2 halves. Lambton Jaffas coming out and dominating in their possession. And that was kind of half expected. However, Weston weren't ever out of this in terms of, shots on goal, etc. They're putting themselves in there. However, again, when the send-off happened with Brent Hamill, that's when things changed for Lambton, and all of a sudden Weston have got on the ball more often, got more possession, and now they're, as you say, licking their lips for the second half, because now there's an opportunity for them to pick up some points as they wear the Lambton side down, if they're capable. At the moment, though, Lambton's still creating opportunities, and for me, still going okay. So it's going to be a very interesting second half.
Well, we're going to take a quick break. Did you have ticket C19 in the Easter raffle?
No, I didn't. They didn't come and offer us any up here in the commentary box, Bart.
I thought you'd won, CT. All right, we'll be back in 10 for the second half of this final match in the NPL on Good Friday. Lambton up by 2-1. Welcome back to Arthur Eden Oval, round 7 of the NPL Northern New South Wales, and it's Lambton Jaffas leading by 2-1 at halftime. They are down to 10 men though. Bren Hamill was sent off midway through the opening half after he received a couple of yellow cards. The second for retaliation after he was fouled by Jordan Jackson. So it's the Jaffas from right to left of screen, the home side in the second half. Mark Carter gets us back underway. And the skipper, Michael Sessions, quickly looks for the flanks, and Luke Remington. He's going to beat everyone over the byline though. And Chris Turner has jumped back up to the commentary box. CT, can you see Lambton withholding this pressure from Weston? Or do you think the dam wall will finally burst?
It's an interesting question, Bart. What I can tell you is that Lambton will give everything they've got to make that happen, and not only that, they'll also be looking to score goals. So I'm expecting an open second half with the attack of Lambton Jaffas wanting to go forward. I won't expect them to see and park the bus, as we call it. I'd expect them to continue to do what they do and attack and play in the fashion that a team sitting currently in first position would do. But in doing that, it may create some holes and opportunities for Weston, who are absolutely buzzing at the moment at the prospect, playing against 10 men for the next 45 or so minutes.
Well, CT, can I just say is Lambton will win the throw. What a beautiful night for football this is. No wind. The southerly has just died off. There is not a breath of wind. Spectacular sunset. Does it get much better than this?
Look, it doesn't. And I was going to mention earlier that what great condition this pitch is in.
Sessions searching between the lines for Tom Waller, who may have copped maybe an arm from Turnbull on the way through. I think accidental. Nothing intentional there. Bobby Turnbull just apologising. It's Jet White on the tarmac. Here's a weaving run down the far side of the ground from the substitute Sam Camper, who's on the park. And number 19 came up from Dandenong City in the NPL Victoria during the off-season, where he played his 18s and 20s NPL. Now he's playing some first team. His brother Jack on the bench as well. Waller. Nathan Verity.
What Lambton need to do here, when they've got the ball, because they're one down, they need to move simultaneously together and not try and look like they're breaking on a counter-attack. And by that I mean just moving together as a unit, so attack together and defend together, because once you become disjointed and they start running, that's when the big holes open up. So right now, Sessions and crew move together. Support Crowley if he picks up, and then establish themselves stably in numbers, and so that they don't have these gaping holes that may appear.
And CT, Sam Camper has replaced. You can see him now tracking across to make the challenge on Luke Remington, but it was Jet White who committed the foul. So Sam Camper in 19, he's out there for Jordan Jackson, who we know was struggling after he was collected by Bren Hamill. He was forward rolling and tripping over on a couple of occasions, and now he succumbed. So
I'm not sure. I saw the couple of knocks that he took, unless it was something else, because they didn't look too much in that one for me.
Crowley, up he goes. Sessions won the header, but no power behind it.
He may, Bart, have got something else that I'd missed. I didn't see anything that had happened to him in the first half.
Unless he just rolled his ankle innocuously in maybe a divot against the sideline. Because as I said, there was no one around him and he just did a forward roll against the sideline. I'm thinking, what is going on there?
Well, I didn't see the phantom sniper hit, so maybe he did put his foot in the hole. I'm not sure, but I didn't see anything during the game that would have caused him an injury. But
Tien Fu whipping it in, and Regan Lundy is going to catch up with it, but Nathan Verity is nipping at his heels. Nice footwork from Lundy. Was just able to stab the pass towards Liam Wilson, but Powiak with the clean-up, and then his clearance straight over the sideline. Cox. Will be Bears throw, though. Michael Sessions with the header away to Cox. Taking on Pawiak and over the line. And CT coming into this one, Weston, 5 goal scorers with 2 goals apiece. So that just shows you they're not relying on one man to do the scoring for them, which is so important.
Well, it is important, and as a coach, you'd love to see different players scoring goals for you, because if you're relying on, as you say, one player, then if things dry up for that person, then it gets pretty hard for the side. So any team that's scoring around the park is the coach pleaser, that's for sure.
Turnbull. And now Wilson. What a signing he's been for the Bears from the Central Coast. Hurley and now Lundy. This one just in behind young Sam Camper, 19-year-old.
Weston enjoying some good possession here at the moment.
And it's pretty much continued since Brent Hammer was sent off. They've had a lot of possession, maybe not doing a lot with it, but building up nicely, taking their time, and then Zach Snedden threading the ball wide, looking for the run of Liam Wilson, but Verity was able to snuff it out. And now Chris Hurley. Well, how has he found his way through there? We're talking about the Phantom and a little bit of magic. Well, Chris Hurley, he's got something special.
Come back to the Phantom in a minute, Bart.
Jet White. He toe poked that one over the top, looking for Camper. Remington is back doing the defensive work, and now Tien Fu. Dinked over the top by Camper. It falls here for Buswell. Gee, he brought that down well, but the free kick has gone to Lambton.
Frustrating there for Weston, because what a good finish that was. Just speaking of the Phantom, Bart, I was asked at half-time if this was my full-time job, which I firmly responded with a no, and it's a voluntary thing. But
you don't get paid. I'll back
before
that.
I did actually have that chance to respond, is this your full-time job? How does Smudge get so much annual leave?
Yeah, fair point. Well, when it's a voluntary job, it's easy to get annual leave, isn't it? You can have all the annual leave you want. It's Tien Fu. Along the ground, just behind Buswell. Tees up Wilson. Plays a 1-2 with Cooper Buswell. And then they got themselves in a little bit of a pickle, and it was just too congested in that small pocket of the 18-yard box. Neat build-up, though.
Lambton under a fair bit of pressure here, but they're sitting with 2 clean lines, a 4 and a 4 and a 1, and they're just withholding this pressure. Weston continually pushing the ball around, and we've seen them come right back out to stretch Lambton.
Well, we know of Lambton's strength in defence. Michael Sessions alongside Will McFarlane conceded just 4 goals in this now, their 5th match of the season. And at any stage in the season, if you're conceding less than a goal a game, that is a watertight defence. If you go through the season conceding less than a goal a game, that's a 5-star defensive performance. Pretty sure, maybe about 10 years ago now, but Magic went through an entire season conceding just 6 times. How's that for a regular season defence? That's the gold standard. Luke Remington winning possession, and this is where he is dangerous. Braden Crowley definitely offside. Perfectly in line here, CT.
Yeah, comfortably offside. And I remember my long-term coach, Trevor Smythe, saying to me at training a long time ago, sides that have good defences is like a house, good foundations. And if you get that right, then you're well on your way to a good season. And he'd spend months in pre-season working on defence, and that's where we'd always start, getting that right.
Well, that's what Mark Rudin did at Weston. At Wellington Phoenix. I was trying to think of his probably new club, Western United, but that's what he did at Wellington Phoenix, start of the season. Of course, they lost in the FFA Cup to Bentley Greens. He said, just focusing from the back first, and look where they are now in the finals of the A-League. They'll be playing in a few weeks' time. It's Tien Fu. Now to Cox. Wilson looking for an option and sees Zach Snedden. Caleb Cox in his first season in the top flight without the Jets youth. Chris Hurley couldn't quite wrap his boot around it. Maybe he was searching for another Bar TV Goal of the Year contender, because Jose Atedi is probably close to leading the race for that particular award with that strike last week for Edgeworth against the Rosebuds. It's dinked up the line by Odell. Remington rushing after it. Sam Camper with the boot in the way. And this is actually the first match this season where Weston have not scored first. They've scored first in every match they've played so far this season. It's the first they've had to come from behind in terms of conceding the opening goal.
They'll be desperately looking for another here to level it up. And potentially love them to go up.
Falls here for Tom Waller, trying to place the shot. Yeah, they've actually only been behind on one occasion this year, and that was in round one against Hamilton Olympic, where they went down 2-1 after Scott Pettit scored that penalty. So they're very used to being in front. There's Jet White. Now Camper, Tien Phu. So that's the question mark on Weston, is can they fight back here for the first time this season and put themselves in a winning position? Buswell. Waller got his boot there, but it trickled on to his opposite number, Lundy, who fired it across goal. And Brad Swancott, he is going to play a pivotal role in this second half if Lambton are to get the result.
Well, he already has. He's pulled off a couple of good saves, and that ball in from Lundy, just would have loved to have had that a little bit further away from Swancott. Put a bit more pressure on him. In the end, it's a pretty easy take. Here's another man, Robbie Turnbull.
Didn't he fire that one across the ground, and the young man, Sam Camper, catches up with it.
He'll be looking to get his side right into the back end of this game. In the last 20 minutes, you'll hear Robbie Turnbull probably louder than anyone in desperation stakes to get his side, if they aren't already level, in front, and that's where his mindset will be.
Good Friday football on Bar TV, and it has been a good match of football in round 7 of the NPL Northern New South Wales. 3 goals early, and now it's just simmering along. It's Weston search for the equaliser with Lambton down to 10 men. Brent Hamill sent off in the first half. Robbie Turnbull finds Cooper Buswell, and now Cox just stabs it into the path of Lundy. Wow. Have a look at the power on that boot. He's almost knocked that cross all the way over the sideline. In the end, they'll be able to recalibrate and go again. Buswell, well cut out by McFarlane. And now Hurley. And Nathan Verity, he just thumps his boot through it. It's all hands to the pump for Lambton. There's been a lot of talk in recent weeks in the NPL about parking a couple of buses in defence. Lambton, they are sitting deep at the moment, CT, and they basically haven't come out of their own half with possession very often in this second half.
Look, they haven't, and I made comment early in the first part of this second half.
Have they unlocked the key here? As Lundy squaring it up. Here is Caleb Cox, well blocked in the 18-yard box. Will McFarlane was there, and now a chance for them to break quickly through Braden Crowley. Esquilent is able to track back inside his box and mop up for the Bears.
Sorry, Bart, I did make mention early in the second half that Lambton, I would expect them to continue to attack. We haven't seen that just yet. There's been 2 clear lines, back 4, middle 4, and Crowley up front sitting solo, and they are looking to just stop Weston getting through. And at the moment, I wouldn't say they're watertight, but they're looking okay. Just would have expected them to be on the attack right now.
CT, as a former coach, you must be salivating just watching Lambton and the structure that they've got there. The 4-4-1, you can see it very clearly. They are so structured, they've had it drilled into them. As Remington beats a couple and fires it at the near post. Ruffles the side netting. But James Pascoe, he would have talked them through this. He would have said, if we go down to 10 men, this is what we're going to do.
Yeah, look, it's not uncommon for a side, if they're going to play a 4-4-2, just revert to one at the top. But as I said before, earlier, you need to move simultaneously, and by that, not just leaving that guy and just trying to hit a target man. You've got to move through the park and shift the field of play, and if you can do that, then you're going to have a better chance.
Well, here's Caleb Cox finding Liam Wilson, who is offside. Gee whiz, that wouldn't have been far.
But then in attack, when you're moving forward together, you've got to move defensively back and transition back together again. And that takes a lot of discipline. I'd expect Lambton, they've got that in them for sure. Just at the moment, it's been a case of they've been sitting in a little bit too much. I'd like to see them attack some more. Maybe they're just trying to weather the first 20 minutes of this first half, Bart, and then see themselves come out. And that could well possibly be the instruction from Pascoe.
So I know we're standing basically in front of or just behind the Weston bench, but where do you see the best chance for the Bears in terms of breaking through this back four of Lambton Jaffas? Where do you see the weakness?
I'll come back to that.
As Lambton look to counter-attack, and Verity can't keep it inside the line.
Okay, so when you've got two lines that they have, Lambton, one in front of the other, back four, middle four, what you've got to try and do is stretch them out. You've got to bring them out of their lines. So maybe your two strikers are dragging central defenders out of position so that they've got the opportunity.
Buswell brought it down, deflected almost into the back of the net. And that would have been a disastrous own goal for the Jaffas after doing so much defending. In the end, they get away with it. And Weston are going to make a change. Will be Jackson Burston. He's been in good goal-scoring touch this year. A couple for him. He's going to head out there and replace Liam Wilson, who's been superb, hasn't he, CT?
Yeah, Wilson has been good. He's made a great contribution in first half and to this point in the second. What I was saying before, Bart, is if Weston have the ability, with their strikers in particular, when they're sitting high, particularly the central defenders, drag them out of position or at least make them think about moving position. When they can do that and break that flat four that they've got, that's when they've got opportunity to get players in behind the line and get beyond them. And it can either be on the deck or a little over the top. But they certainly just don't want to play a flat 4-4 because if they do, it's really hard to penetrate. You've got to break that up.
Hurley holding off Andrew Powiak, his opposite number. Lambton will get the free kick going their way. So Jackson Burston adding a bit more physicality and size up front. And you're talking about stretching the Lambton back four. That's the other good news for them, is the smaller pitch here at Arthur Eden Oval.
Yeah, not just stretching them, dragging them out of position, creating some holes. So if people talk about triangles, if you can do that, if you can drag particularly the central defenders out of their line, then you can create opportunities, those triangles I just half mentioned, to get players from your midfield in and behind. That's where you're going to get some opportunity to score goals. At the moment, Lambton are holding their ground really clearly, and you can see two flat lines. And at this point, Lambton
just
Weston
protected himself from contact there from Nathan Verity. Now Buswell, it almost opened up neat. 1-2 with Caleb Cox. He couldn't take his first touch around Michael Sessions, who put himself in the way like a wall, and then did well to evade Lundy. But Weston will start to recycle possession again. And the ball from Lundy's going to beat everyone over the line. And CT, we are just about to get one of the best full moons you will ever see coming up, rising over Arthur Eden Oval. It's just behind the stadium at the moment. We're going to get an absolute ripper view as Lambton are going to make a change. Luke Remington leaving the park, and the Kiwi, James Pendry, just spent a season with Canterbury United in the Hunter Premiership, top tier of football in New Zealand. Now he's coming to test himself in the NPL Northern New South Wales. What can he add to the mix for Lambton? The 10 men of Lambton.
Well, Remington's had a good shift here this afternoon. He's put his body on the line, as he normally does, and deserving a rest. So fresh legs coming on, and exactly what Lambton Jaffas need right at the moment.
So Will McFarlane. Do you like the shirt tucked in, CT, from Will McFarlane? Are you a fan of the old tucked in shirt? This header towards goal.
I mostly get criticised as I walk out the door most days, but regarding my fashion sense, so I have zero comment on in or out.
Did you play with an in or out? Or did it just depend on what most of your teammates did?
Well, no, it was a mandatory requirement that the shirts were in at that period. Although I used to manage to find my shirt out at some point.
Chris
I was
Hurley.
often asked to tuck it back in.
You don't often see the old shirt tucked in. Here's a free kick in a really good position. Jackson Burston brought down from behind.
Look, as we've mentioned here previously and plenty of times on Bar TV, this is the range that you want to be, far enough out, well enough out so you can get over the top of the wall and have enough space to dip it. Swancott knows exactly the danger of this particular set play. Setting his wall up, he's getting it covered onto his left side so he can cover mostly the right. So he'll have a right side dominant view of where he's thinking the ball's going to go. That's where he set his wall. But he'll be very conscious if it does get over that wall on the right-hand side and on his left, that's where he'll need to get to if he has to.
Well, it's Caleb Cox and Chris Hurley. And Hurley's going to leave it for Cox, and it took a deflection, and they'll get it from the corner, the Bears now. So still this stalemate so far in the second half. No goals, but it's Lambton leading by 2-1. No goals since they went down to 10 men. Cox really hooked that one in at the near post. Hurley can Turnbull strike it from distance. Well, the less said about that strike, the better, CT. You'd probably have more of an idea as to Robbie Turnbull's striking prowess. It's Buswell with the attempted backheel towards Caleb Cox. Now Crowley against the sideline. They will win a relieving throw.
So, Bart, I just had a text. We mentioned Teo and Willow Greaves earlier. They said they're watching this game. Teo says he's watching Lambton versus Weston. He's not sure if the guy commentating knows what he's talking about. I'm not sure whether he's talking about you or me, Bart. Or both.
I think both.
I'm good with that.
It's Caleb Cox.
Love your comments on Facebook and any other place you like to put them.
Turnbull. He powered that one to Jackson Burston. Here he is, the skipper, Robbie Turnbull. Nathan Morris out of the side, who Chris Hurley says he looks up to. Zach Stedden in game number 50. Cox. And now Jet White. Still it's Lambton's defence. Holding firm. Not allowing any space between the lines. As they're looking for a ball in. Hurley was acrobatically knocked away by Nathan Verity. Both he and Liam Odell, part of the Jaffas back line and previously part of the Central Coast Mariners youth system, like plenty of the Bears. As some space opens up down the left, and here's another corner for Weston. Sam Camper showing his speed down the far flank. So Chris Turner, I think that's the first time I've ever called you Chris Turner in commentary.
Oh, I think so.
This ball whipped in. Up there was Liam Odell. It stacks on the mill in the box. It's Regan Lundy with a strike and just wide. Now, Q Yalians is just having a chat to Robbie Turnbull on the sideline here. What's he saying to him? He's counting. Still analysing.
Not sure what all that was about, Bart.
Maybe you can ask.
He's a neighbour of mine. He's a few doors up. Catch him tomorrow morning when I'm mowing the lawn.
So it's just an eerie silence around Arthur Eden Oval at the moment, because the home fans know that their side is under the cosh because they're down to 10 men. And they also know that another goal for Lambton could go close to ending it all for the Bears, because it would frustrate them immensely, because with 10 men, Lambton have not conceded. Weston have had some half chances. Almost opens up down the left for Kemper. He's able to keep that inside the line. Maybe not. And you might be able to see the full moon. I'll get Will, our cameraman, to zoom out, because have a look at this. That is a spectacular sight. That's above McDonald Jones Stadium, the home of the Newcastle Jets and Knights, just across the park and across the road from Arthur Eden Oval, the home of the Jaffas, Braden Crowley. Somehow able to keep the ball inside the line. As Pendra finds Michael Kantorowski.
Well, you're right, Bart. Beautiful evening and a stunning view there. And our expert cameraman Will has done a great job in capturing all of that for us, as he does with the rest of the vision that you see weekly here on Bar TV.
Well, we always get a spectacular sight on Good Friday. Of course, Easter is set around the moons. And I remember last year we've had some really good matches on Good Friday, a couple of years back when Lambton played Broadmeadow Magic. And it's always delivered the weather. Once again this year, it's delivered. No wind at all. And it's allowed a wonderful match of football, an enthralling match of football to unfold as Turnbull's cross in. This took a very awkward deflection, and Swancott knew he had to get there because otherwise it would have been a corner. And he did just that. So great to have your company. Round 9 of the NPL Northern New South Wales. Just a quick reminder that earlier results today, Edgeworth went down to Maitland 2-1. And Lake Macquarie got their first win of the year, 2-1 over Adamstown. So a couple of upsets there. And Lambton on the live ladder as it stands are equal with Edgeworth at the top of the table with 2 matches in hand. I'm sure Eagles fans will be hoping Weston can find an equaliser and maybe another. Here's Regan Lundy with a shot. And Brad Swancott, absolutely brilliant.
Horizontal there from Swancott, and what a great save. That's what he's known for. He's a shot stopper. His reflexes unquestioned, and that time his team needed him. He's come up with the goods.
I don't know how many times I've said that over the years. Brilliant from Brad Swancott, because he's just done it so often. Jason Tianfu trying to find an opening, appeal about a handball. I thought it was beside him, Michael Sessions. I thought it would have been a harsh penalty to give, and I'm saying good call, Mark Carter.
From here, it looked like a good call. I have to admit, though, Bart, a bit of light. I don't have my glasses on, so a bit hard to pick, but certainly the way his body position was, didn't look like it was a penalty at this point. Just going back to Hugh Jalen's there.
Hugh Yellens.
Thank you.
Here's a free kick going the way
Game's
of
heating
Lambton. Well, it is. The Western fans aren't happy.
Robbie Turnbull, I mentioned before, is a neighbour of mine. I do see him in the street a bit, but he has said his team rate him highly. There's a great culture and great feeling amongst the group, and he's got them fired up. Expecting this last 15 or so to be nothing but more of attack from Weston.
So Lambton will win themselves a rare corner, and this is incredible. Look at how many men are going to stand there in the box. Just a couple. It's going to be Kantorowski and Tom Waller and Braden Crowley to take. Well, they're going to push up McFarlane and also Pendry. Andrew Powiak was pushing forward, but he was told to get back quickly. Here's Pendry on the volley. Snedden with the clearance away. Was a little off balance, but he did really well there, Zach Sneddon. And here's Sam Camper opening up some space down the far side of the ground. Now chipping it, Andrew Powiak getting back. Does fall for Jackson Burston against one of his former clubs, the Lambton Jaffas. Played here between 2016 and 17. Crowley dishes it off to Powiak. Squares it to Odell. Finds the Kiwi, James Pendry, who angles this pass across the ground, and it just skipped off the turf, which would be a little dewy at the moment. It is humid tonight. Just get it off and away from Waller. There's Jet White now. Knows how important it is to push forward for Weston. Goes with the outside of his boot. That is a fantastic ball to Jason Tienfu. And on the angle, he couldn't quite repeat what he did against Maitland a few weeks ago.
Yeah, the dew, as you mentioned, Bart, is certainly playing a little bit of a part right now. The ball's skidding on just a fraction. Have to admit, though, Lambton do have a defend-first mentality, and that seems fairly obvious, particularly around that last corner that they've taken. It'll be interesting to see how they continue on. Would have thought by now, and my prediction was that they go out more in attacking fashion that they are known for, but certainly at this point, those two lines are remaining firm. Back four, middle four.
Now, I've just seen Teague Marcus's comment, former Bear. He's actually watching on Facebook. He's saying he's loving the Bears away strip. I'm going to second that. I like it as well. Very nice away strip. As Lambton here pushing forward. This ball across goal from Powiak in behind Verity, who collects Regan Lundy. And this does not look good. He's fallen on his shoulder. Well, this looks terrible. He's just wincing, and maybe you're right in the end, but I thought for a moment that he may have dislocated his shoulder, but he's able to move it. May just be a little bit of a burner for the moment. He scored their opening goal, Weston, did Regan Lundy. They need him out there. As here's Kantorowski spotting Esquilin off his line. Not a bad option from the Jaffas midfielder. The maestro in the midfield. This ball distributed wide. And here's Lundy. He has recovered now. Taking on Nathan Verity. Sliding in again. And Swancott prevents another corner. Inside the final quarter hour. Lambton have not conceded a goal in the last 15 minutes of matches this season. They've done a lot of fitness work in the off-season. And that proves that they've scored 4 times. That's the second best in the league. They've got the first best defence in the final 15 for Weston. 2 scored and 2 conceded. So they are susceptible to a late goal, the Bears. But against a 10-man Jaffas lineup, you'd back them in. Here's Jackson Burston just offside. Or was he? The flag did go up from Stuart Hanson, but he was offside, didn't play a part, and good officiating to allow play to go on. Less stoppages, the better. Crowley bringing it down to Chris Hurley. Read the situation well, and Michael Kantorowski gives away the foul. It's getting tense now. They need a good delivery here, CT. Robbie Turnbull is strolling across, but you sense it'll be Chris Hurley on that left boot to just spin one into the box.
Well, he'll spin it. He'll spin it from left to right, looking to get a touch on it.
Well, here he is towards the near post, and it's Sessions who is there to cut it out. He's been mighty. He'll get another chance here. Hurley, it falls to the back post. Camper was there, and now the strike from Jet White. It's going to fall into the path of the Lambton centre back. And Will McFarlane showing some toe. Regan Lundy got across to cut him down now. And Lambton win a much-needed free kick. They'll just be able to take some time out of the clock.
more importantly for Lambton, they get to shift some field position that's been sitting mostly in their bottom third. I'll quickly revert back if the trend is anything to go by, but certainly just some relief.
Great to have your company. Good Friday football from the NPL Northern New South Wales, and it's second versus third on the table. Lambton Jaffas against Weston Bears. It's been 2-1 since the early part of the first half. No goals since Bren Hamill was sent off inside the opening 20 minutes or so. And Lambton have been defending stoutly since. But there's still some time left for the Bears. Here's Lambton's chance to seal it. Braden Crowley lashed at it. Frustration. You could feel it from the Jaffas faithful. They knew that would have signed, sealed and delivered all 3 points and sent them to the top of the table with 2 matches in hand on Edgeworth, who are level on 13 points with them. Zach Snedden. Now Tien Fu runs into Nathan Verity. Made a big deal of that. And then Cooper Buswell came across and initiated contact on Crowley. Tien Fu to Sned. These are the money minutes now for both sides. Camper. Lundy. The goal scorer for Weston. His third of the season. Seems like an age ago now. Here's the captain, Robbie Turnbull. And now Cooper Buswell, and Swancott was able to push it away. And there's a collision between him and Regan Lundy, who put his body on the line. And yellow card has been dished out by Mark Carter. It's a very swift yellow card. I'm not quite sure who it went to, and Brad Swancott is slow to his feet here. Regan Lundy on the ground. Swancott just limping a little off camera. And he did fall on his shoulder awkwardly a few minutes ago, and could he potentially have re-aggravated that?
Yeah, both players came together quite heavily there on that occasion. And both of them coming up gingerly. Hopefully, but they're both okay. Coach Yalen's giving some instruction to his players. I know how important this last 10 minutes is. Probably about 10 to go, Bart, with some injury time.
The Bears haven't won here since 2014. Jaffas with a 7-match unbeaten run against Weston. And this evening, CT, Michael Bridges is on the bench for the Lambton Jaffas, lending a helping hand and barking out some orders as well. Which is fantastic to see, him helping out his local club.
Well, it sure is. Legend of the English Premier League.
Working for Optus Sport as well at the moment as Kandarowski curls this one in behind Tom Waller, who has the overlapping run of Pawiak. He uses Braden Crowley. Lovely turn from Crowley. And the free kick is going to go the way of the Bears. Gee, they've had some near moments, Weston. And that was almost 3 points gone. Braden Crowley with a couple of opportunities late on in this half. And now Weston get their chance. Hurley to Buswell. He gets away from Pendry. Squares it up. Here's Lundy. Brilliantly blocked again by Lambton. It was Verity. Sessions in there too. And the ball in from Hurley has beaten everyone.
Oh, and again, Swancott, another critical save from him. keeping Lambton, keeping their noses in front. Frustrating for Weston. You think at this point they're doing enough to just to get more than their chance to score, but Swancott keeps popping up, and the back four of Lambton Jaffas keep holding strong.
Well, we're inside the final 5 minutes now. And if we've played 40 minutes of this second half, you'd have to say at least 35 of them would have been played inside the Jaffas defensive half. It's been an incredible backs to the wall job. And still, they hold their lead intact. Pendry. A couple of bounces and skips off the turf in front of Braden Crowley. Powiak. Turn away from Hurley. And now Crowley angles the pass to Tom Waller. Skipped over the challenge of Turnbull and also Cox. Powiak. Controlling possession nicely here, Lambton, despite being one man. Having one less man as this ball squared across the face, and Robbie Turnbull is able to clear it away. Regan Lundy couldn't keep it inside, and Lambton with the throw. So just relieving the tension and some pressure. Lambton finally with some possession in the attacking half.
Well, it's the first real build-up and possession-based attack on goal we've had from Lambton, and they would love to see some more of the same. But they're very conscious of their own back third and the goals that are capable of coming out of Weston.
So Tienfu and Snedden link up. Jet White. And now Cooper Buswell looks for an option. And he sees Jackson Burston. Falls for the Dutchman. Who swivels and turns. He was playing 4th division in the Netherlands last year. Now he's over in Australia. Turnbull to Lundy, who has recovered again. He's bouncing back on multiple occasions. Hurley hangs it up. There is a mosh of bodies in there, and the strike is powered over the bar. It was Caleb Cox who couldn't keep it down.
Well, we heard Coach Pascoe saying, keep it together, keep it together, keep it together, no deeper. And that's a real sign of you just keep everything in order, don't move, hold them out, keep everything tight. They're really, at this point in time, hanging on to the game and making sure that Weston don't get the opportunity we were talking about earlier to get dragged out of shape. And from a coaching responsibility, he's making sure his troops are doing exactly just that.
Well, Braden Crowley replaced by Josh Sutton, the former Bell Swan striker. He scored a couple of goals this year. He stepped up to the NPL from New FM Northern League 1. And he's been pretty prolific in front of goal to start the season. You couldn't have asked for much more than that. And Braden Crowley, who is wonderful this evening, he gets his well-earned break after scoring his 6th goal of the season tonight. As Snedden, you can see his frustration, his head bent back straight away as he mistimed and misplaced the pass.
Crowley's been fantastic tonight. He nearly got a late opportunity there. It was called a foul upon, and I love this from Sutton, straight out of Belmont Swansea, right into the team that's coming currently as we sit in first position. It's going to create a lot of energy for this last few minutes that we've got in the game.
Chris Hurley. And now Snedden. What's the option for Zach Snedden? It's Jason Tienfu. Just in front of the grandstand at Arthur Eden, calls it across goal, and Sessions' clearance. He's just sliced it wide of goal. Inside the final 90 seconds now of regulation time in this second half. Stoppage time awaits, and they take it quickly. Chris Hurley has some time to bend it and couldn't place it in the top corner like we've seen him do before.
There won't be any rush in getting this one back into play.
Is that a frog in your throat? Thought you had a frog in your throat there, CT.
No, not a frog. Swancott is taking his time. He really winding the seconds down. They've been under a huge amount of pressure, Lambton Jaffas.
Well, James Pascoe's got to be proud of this performance if they can hang on and get the 3 points. Incredibly proud.
Look, I didn't think they'd come out this way, to be honest, Bart, in the second half. I thought they'd come out and continue to attack, but they've just maintained shape. They've held themselves, and they've made sure to this point they've kept everything out. A lot of that's been through the back four, and then let's not forget Brad Swancott and his contribution, what he's made. Some outstanding saves, and that's why he continues to be one of the best keepers that we've seen in this league.
Goalkeeper of the year back in 2013 with Hamilton Olympic at that time. And while he hasn't won the award since, gee whiz, he's gone close. As it opens up here for Sam Camper across goal. Still there is danger for Lambton. The 3 points aren't delivered to them just yet. Remembering that 3 points for Lambton sends them to the top of the table and puts them in a really strong position in the premiership race. Cooper Buswell, Hurley, attempting to spin and turn, but his touch was too heavy, and Kantarovski pounced. Round 7 of the NPL Northern New South Wales. On Bar TV Sports, Ben Homer and Chris Turner with you in commentary. Good Friday football, and the final match on Good Friday in the NPL Northern New South Wales after 3 matches played. Nathan Verity angling his run towards the corner flag, and he absolutely flattened out Robbie Turnbull. You don't see too many players do that, and now they're engaging in almost a rugby tackle in the corner.
Yeah, a big shoulder charge there on Robbie Turnbull. He knocked off balance. He's not a guy that will get knocked around too easily.
It's Caleb Cox, he's been turned around, and Snedden... Well, here we go. Waller's taken them both down. That's incredible. And Robbie Turnbull, he's not one to back down. Push and shove, because Tom Waller just barreled them over from behind. He took down both Zach Snedden and Robbie Turnbull. Snedden did collect Tom Waller, so maybe he was a little frustrated. And Mark Carter has now got to just keep a lid on all this, and he does. He hands out the yellow card to Waller. And Snedden and Waller having a little bit of a chuckle at the end. It's all good-natured. Gotta love a bit of feeling, though. Weston frustrated in this second half. Turnbull taking his time. He can't take too much time, because they've got less than 3 minutes of stoppage time remaining. Chris Hurley. Now Buswell. Along the tarmac to Jackson Burston, who came on as a substitute. Picks out the header of Camper. He almost was able to get that up and over the Lambton backline. It falls for Hurley. Deflects up for Buswell. Here is Burston. He may have collected Brad Swancott again, who put his body on the line. You sense he may have copped studs there, Swancott. And as an experienced keeper as well, you'd sense he'll make sure he keeps himself on the ground a little longer than he needs. So Burston into the book, and Swancott on the turf.
This will just add to the frustration for Weston, who during the second half have had the dominance of play, possession, field position, opportunities, but at this point no result, and we've got a goalkeeper just still getting to his feet in stoppage time and not what they want to see.
Well, he will see out this match. The only way he wouldn't is if he'd broken a bone. That's the only way I can see Brad Swancott. His arm would have to be, or leg would have to be falling off for him to be forced off the park. That's how tough he is.
And even then, he'd probably stay on.
He still probably
Nothing
would.
but a scratch, quote Monty Python. Just a mere scratch for Swancott.
Yeah, former NSL player with the Breakers and the Jets as well. He's played with Bankstown, Apia, Parramatta, Manly, Lake Macquarie as well, CT and Hamilton. Now he's finishing his career at Lambton Jaffas. not far away from where he started with the breakers. Sliced under that one. Sessions. And now Robbie Turnbull. Is there one final opportunity for Weston? Lumped forward. McFarlane the header away. He's been mighty in the back line. They've all been mighty. Lambton. 10 men out there since the early part of the first half, and they have not conceded despite being a man down. Snedden. And it's nutmeg Camper against the touchline.
I mean, particularly impressed with the discipline of Lambton Jaffas here. They've just maintained, obviously, instruction from half-time to keep those lines very clear, very strong and tight. They haven't let go of anything here at any point and just denied opportunity of Weston. Haven't been dragged out of shape and just have been reminded continually from their coach to maintain that discipline. And he's been pretty much out of his chair and sometimes out of the technical area as he is at the moment.
Well, Mark Carter, has he blown full time? He's got the whistle ready. Lambton want to make a change. There's a little bit of confusion. They're going to make the change in the end. It's Finn Paris who's getting ready. Playing with the Jaffas this year after being previously in the Jets youth system.
Paris will come on. This is a tactical manoeuvre from Coach Pascoe, just to chew up some extra seconds here.
So Tom Waller comes from the park.
And Tom Waller's had a great game for Lambton.
Probably unlucky not to have scored as well. Had that headed chance in the first half. Maybe if he puts a bit more power behind that, but it was a great save from Esquilin at the time.
For sure.
The Bears keeper. And now Jet White pushes forward. Chris Hurley surveys the options. Delivers towards Snedden. The ball bouncing up and over the top, and it has crossed the line. The flag is up. Weston thought they had an equaliser.
They sure did, and the flag went up very, very early as well before the ball was struck. There was no doubt in the linesman's mind that that was offside. Whether it was or not, we can't pick from here.
That's a pressure call and a big call. The flag was up very, very early. None of the Bears saw it.
They thought it was all square.
Even the crowd, I think they knew the flag was up early because there wasn't the raucous cheers from the Bears fans around us. Zach Snedden trying to use his body, and he's able to get his boot around and knock it up to Cooper Buswell. There's only one option here for Lambton. That's to knock it all the way down the other end of the park. Under pressure here, and that is a defensive performance to be proud of. Lambton go to the top of the NPL Northern New South Wales ladder with a stunning defensive display after going down to 10 men midway through the opening half. And that's 4 wins from 5 matches. They are showing no signs of slowing down.
Thank you very much.
And while Weston may receive a reality check, they'll have to wait until round 18 if they are to beat Lambton for the first time since 2015. They'll have to wait till the end of the round to see if they remain in the top 4. Full time at Arthur Eden Oval. Lambton Jaffas 2, Weston Bears 1. And CT, that would go close to one of the best defensive and most well-structured performances I think we've seen in many years. That was staggering from Lambton.
Yeah, frustrating for Weston, that's for sure, but a stunning result for the Lambton Jaffas unit. Well coached. Have to pinpoint Pascoe, which we've done in the past in previous years, where he's come up with a plan that simply worked. Call it whatever you like. He had them structured and organised to maintain a lot of discipline through an attacking Western side that was just relentless right down to that final moments of the game. And in the end, it doesn't have to be pretty. It just has to mean 3 points, and that's exactly what they've got. Saw big celebrations at the end from Lambton, and they thoroughly deserve it.
They most certainly deserve it, CT. We might see if we can grab someone. Who are you keen to grab, CT? I know you know Robbie Turnbull well. but Brad Swancott.
Yeah, I think we
That'd
might
be great
just
to-
get a hold of Swanee if that's possible.
We will. Well, old Pad, you go down and get Swanee, and I'll just outline the other results in the NPL Northern New South Wales this evening. Maitland beating Edgeworth by 2-1. Edgeworth led 1-0 at half-time. Wonderful performance from Michael Bolcher's men in the second half to win it 2-1. And then, in the other match, Lake Macquarie got their first win of the season. They got the job done against Adamstown by 2-1 at Macquarie Field. And the result here, 2-1 as well. It's been a day of 2-1s. And it means that Lambton Jaffas sit atop the table at the end of round 7, but they've still got 2 matches in hand on Edgeworth, who are level with them on 13 points. Weston stay in 3rd, Hamilton in 4th, but Weston have played 6 matches, Olympic 5. It's all very confusing at the moment. Then the Jets, Maitland, Broadmeadow, there's a 4-way tie for 4th spot. They're all on 7 points. Charlestown on 6 in 8th, then Valentine in 9th, Adamstown in 10th, Lake Macquarie in last place. So very tight on the table. Let's head downstairs with Chris Turner and Brad Swancott.
Thanks, Bart. I'm joined here by Brad Swancott. Swanee, you've been battered, you've been bruised, you've been horizontal, you've been vertical, you've done everything right. Your back 4 were strong in front of you. The 4 in front of that was strong. You played one up front, mostly with Crowley in the second half. A huge amount of pressure. How's that panned out for you? I mean, what was the instruction at half-time from Pascoe? Was that exactly the way it panned out?
Pretty much. We decided to go 4 across the back and 4 in the midfield and just 1 loose up the top, pretty much. And it was more about just being resilient and trying to win the half, pretty much. And that's what we executed in the end. It was a bit hairy at times, but yeah, we had a few chances probably to close it off. And if the ball bounces the other way, we finish comfortably and the game's different. So.
Yeah, I mean, it was very clear. There were some clear lines there. You had your 4, and you had your 4, and you had the loose one, as you call it. Yep. How much pressure were you under, particularly in the last 20 minutes?
Yeah, look, we were more worried about them coming through the middle of us than going around us. We're a big side in the back 4, so we're pretty comfortable with high balls and crossing, and I don't think they had many clear headers, maybe 1 in the first half. But yeah, I thought we were really solid, and it was about being resilient, and that's what we were. So.
Thought the key for Weston may have been to drag your middle 2 out of the back, in particular out of position, but they held strong. Was that something that Pascoe had touched on through the half-time break?
Not really. We've been working hard on the back 4, sticking together, and if one comes out of that block, it makes a 3, and we've been working really hard on that, and that's executed pretty well every time someone comes out of the line. So even if they do drop in behind or drop off, they're pretty much at a minimum 3 at the back. So.
Yeah, that's excellent. Swanee asked me to keep this pretty brief so I could get in and celebrate with the boys, so I'm glad to stretch out a bit. Congratulations on the win. That takes you straight to the top of the table, and all the best for next week.
Thanks, Chris. Cheers, mate.
Thanks. That's Brad Swancott. And thanks very much, Bart. Good result there for Lambton Jaffas. I'll hold the microphone. I'll interview you.
Good.
They deserved winners tactically from Jimmy Pascoe. Great result. For Weston, definitely frustrating. How do you see Weston, because I love asking you the questions, how do you see Weston picking up next week?
Yeah, well, Weston have actually got Broadmeadow Magic next week, CT, so that's a difficult assignment for them. I think, obviously, they'll be frustrated. I think the one question mark we've got over Weston is the fact that they haven't fought back from being behind yet this season. They went behind against Hamilton in round 1, they lost 2-1. They went behind again here at Arthur Eden Oval, they lost 2-1. And that's always the issue for a young side, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is. And a win for Weston today would have really buoyed them in going into Broadmeadow now. They've certainly got their work to do next week. We're going to look forward to that one in particular. And I'll let you wrap up from here, Bart.
Well, I will. Tomorrow, a Broadmeadow Magic against Valentine. That's going to be on Bar TV. I will be there. And then CT and myself will be at Adamstown Oval on Thursday for the traditional Anzac Day clash between the Buds and Hamilton Olympic. So, really exciting week ahead. I love Anzac Day football, don't you?
Oh, I do, and it means a lot, not only to the clubs, but we do hold some significance to our fallen Australians and the Anzacs, Australian, New Zealand people. So it does hold a lot of significance for us, and this match is something that's very traditional. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, thanks for your company tonight. It's been a pleasure to bring Good Friday football to you on Bar TV. We'll catch you soon.